Ever dreamt of automating your business finances, pulling reports with a single click, or having your accounting software seamlessly integrate with your custom applications? The secret lies in the power of Xero apps. But how do you actually create one? That's exactly what we're diving into today. Building a Xero app might sound intimidating, like something reserved for seasoned developers. And while some coding knowledge is definitely beneficial, the process is more accessible than you might think. We'll break down the key steps, demystify the jargon, and equip you with the knowledge to start building your own Xero integrations. Before we jump into the how, let's briefly touch on the why. Why would you even want to create a Xero app? The possibilities are vast. Imagine streamlining your e-commerce operations by automatically syncing sales data with Xero, eliminating manual entry and reducing errors. Or perhaps you need a custom reporting solution tailored to your specific business needs, something that goes beyond Xero's standard reports. Maybe you're developing a new software platform and want to offer seamless integration with Xero for your users. These are just a few examples of how Xero apps can revolutionize your workflows. So where do we begin? The first stop is the Xero Developer Center. Think of this as your central hub for everything related to Xero app development. Here you'll find comprehensive documentation, API references, code samples, and all the resources you need to get started. Creating a developer account is the first step. It's free and gives you access to the Xero API. Now, let's talk about the Xero API, or Application Programming Interface. In simple terms, the API is the messenger that allows your app to communicate with Xero. It defines the rules and protocols for how your app can request data from Xero and how Xero can respond. Understanding the basics of the Xero API is crucial for app development. Once you have your developer account, you'll need to create a new app within the Developer Center. This involves providing some basic information about your app, such as its name, description, and purpose. You'll also need to specify the redirect URI. This is the URL where Xero will redirect the user after they've authorized your app to access their data. It's a crucial part of the OAuth 2.0 authorization process, which we'll discuss shortly. OAuth 2.0 is the industry-standard authorization framework that Xero uses. It's a secure way for users to grant your app access to their Xero data without sharing their actual Xero login credentials. Think of it like giving a valet your car keys without telling them your house address. The valet can park your car, but they can't drive it home. Similarly, OAuth 2.0 allows your app to access specific Xero resources without compromising the user's security. The OAuth 2.0 flow involves several steps. First, your app redirects the user to Xero's authorization page. The user logs in to their Xero account and grants permission for your app to access the requested data. Xero then redirects the user back to your app, along with an authorization code. Your app uses this code to obtain an access token, which is like a temporary password that allows your app to access the Xero API. Now, armed with your access token, your app can start making API calls. You can use the API to retrieve data from Xero, such as customer information, invoices, or bank transactions. You can also use the API to create new records in Xero, such as new invoices or contacts. The possibilities are endless. Let's talk about the different types of API calls you can make. The Xero API supports various HTTP methods, such as GET, POST, PUT, and DELETE. GET requests are used to retrieve data, POST requests are used to create new records, PUT requests are used to update existing records, and DELETE requests are used to delete records. When making API calls, you'll need to specify the endpoint you're targeting. An endpoint is a specific URL that represents a particular resource in Xero, such as the invoices endpoint or the contacts endpoint. The Xero API documentation provides a comprehensive list of available endpoints and the data they return. Data returned from the Xero API is typically in JSON format, which stands for JavaScript Object Notation. JSON is a lightweight data interchange format that's easy for both humans and machines to read and write. Your app will need to parse the JSON response from the Xero API to extract the data you need. Now, let's talk about the tools you'll need for Xero app development. You'll need a code editor, such as Visual Studio Code or Sublime Text. You'll also need a programming language such as JavaScript, Python, or PHP. And you'll need a library or SDK that simplifies the process of making API calls to Xero. Xero provides SDKs for several popular programming languages, which can save you a lot of time and effort. Choosing the right programming language and SDK depends on your existing skills and the requirements of your app. If you're already familiar with JavaScript, you might consider using the Xero JavaScript SDK. If you're more comfortable with Python, you might opt for the Xero Python SDK. Testing your Xero app is crucial. You'll want to make sure your app is working correctly and that it's handling errors gracefully. Xero provides a sandbox environment where you can test your app without affecting your live Xero data. It's highly recommended to thoroughly test your app in the sandbox before deploying it to production. Once you've thoroughly tested your app, you're ready to deploy it. The deployment process will vary depending on the type of app you're building. If you're building a web app, you'll need to host it on a web server. If you're building a mobile app, you'll need to submit it to the App Store. Creating a Xero app can be a rewarding experience. It allows you to extend the functionality of Xero and tailor it to your specific needs. While it does require some technical knowledge, the resources and tools available make the process more manageable than you might think. Remember to start with the Xero Developer Center, familiarize yourself with the Xero API and OAuth 2.0, and leverage the available SDKs. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.